Chapter 7 is where the investigation into Lana Clayton's actions took on a life of its own, morphing from quiet whispers among neighbors into a national obsession as reporters, true crime junkies, and legal analysts all began to dissect the case piece by piece, each trying to understand what kind of person would choose such a bizarre, almost cinematic method to kill. Unlike more traditional cases of spousal homicide, guns, knives, blunt force trauma, the eyedrop poisonings carried with them a strange sense of both subtlety and cruelty, as if the very choice of Vizine as a weapon reflected something deeper about Lana's state of mind. Investigators leaned into this angle heavily, exploring not just her behavior in the immediate aftermath, but also her broader psychological profile, noting that people close to her described her as charming, intelligent, but often volatile, a combination that had left many wondering if she had long been capable of hiding dangerous impulses behind a polished exterior. Forensic psychologists brought into the courtroom later on would describe the poisonings as a calculated act rather than a crime of passion, a slow-motion murder that required planning, patience, and an ability to manipulate appearances while her husband's health deteriorated in plain sight. The media latched onto this theory, portraying her in headlines as a femme fatale-type character, someone who had turned a benign household item into an assassin's tool, a story so unusual that even seasoned reporters admitted it stood out in a sea of other homicide cases they covered. It was around this time that more disturbing questions started to emerge. Was this the first time she had poisoned her husband? Or had there been earlier attempts that went undetected? Had she experimented with dosages, testing how much was needed to make him sick without killing him outright? These darker speculations gave the case a new layer of intrigue, sparking endless debate among crime forums and social media feeds, where amateur sleuths picked apart every available detail, trying to piece together a motive that seemed to shift with every new revelation. Some pointed to greed, since Lana inherited a large portion of her husband's estate after his death, while others thought it was resentment, a pent-up cocktail of marital tension, jealousy, and long-term dissatisfaction that finally boiled over in an act she may have convinced herself was justified. Still others speculated that Lana was driven by something less tangible, a craving for control, or the thrill of seeing how much she could get away with, which would explain why she appeared so composed and unconcerned during the weeks when her husband was visibly ill. As the investigation deepened, detectives unearthed evidence that suggested Lana had been actively searching for ways to cover her tracks, including attempts to manipulate medical explanations for her husband's decline, as if she believed she could outsmart not just the doctors, but the entire legal system. Yet no matter how elaborate her concealment strategy, the forensic proof was damning, and the longer the story stayed in the public eye, the more it became clear that what had started as a bizarre local case was now a national parable about trust betrayal and the unsettling realization that danger can come not from a stranger in the shadows, but from someone sleeping in the same bed. This was the heart of Chapter 7. The blending of media sensationalism, legal analysis, and human psychology into a swirling storm of narratives that made the case impossible to ignore, a story that seemed to embody the phrase, "truth is stranger than fiction."